accident, you need a lawyer, and you deserve an advocate. Because every accident has a ripple effect. It affects your time, your health, your ability to make money, everything. That's where the advocates can help. Speaking with an attorney is simple and 100% free. We're available 24/7 for your convenience, and we'll take on the claims process so you can rest easy. Because you're not just a client to us, you're a person, and you deserve the best help you can get. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, the Monty Show. Monday, January 13th, live on your YouTube machine. As always, we are presented by The Advocates. The Advocates at theadvocates.com. Boy, howdy, if you have not learned anything from the LA fires, you can't trust your insurance company. When you get in a car accident, don't trust your insurance company. They're not fighting for you. They're not on your side. You need somebody who will give you clear, risk-free advice, and that's The Advocates. At theadvocates.com, 24/7, 365. You can talk to an injury attorney, and it won't cost you a dime at theadvocates.com because you do not pay the advocates unless and until they win your case. What a college football playoff season we have. God is in the final because obviously I think we all know Jesus and his father are Notre Dame fans. We are in a great place. I mean, I warned you. I told you Notre Dame was the best team in the country and Marcus Freeman was the best coach in the country.
My fucking ass.
I don't even know that. Just give them the trophy now, right?
Right. I mean, just auto win, best team, not even close. You know that type of situation.
I'm here for it. And
stuff.
Let me start with this before we get to the greatness of Marcus Freeman and how amazing he is. Has the college football playoff been compelling?
I think so. I mean, I think we've had good matchups. I think we've had good storylines. I mean, I think it's been pretty compelling this year. Certainly.
I think it's been excellent. I think it's exactly what, as college football fans, I think it's exactly what we all needed. I look at the Ohio State performance against Texas. I thought it was one of the games of the year. I think, in all seriousness, the Notre Dame Penn State game was as bad as we all thought it was going to be offensively. Those are two very mediocre quarterbacks who performed at that level. You look at Ohio State. Is this the single greatest run to a championship we have ever seen? You start with Tennessee. You dismantle Oregon. Right now, you've beaten Texas. Those are three of the best teams in the country. There's no way to even spin that. I think this is one of the greatest runs we've ever seen in college football.
Yeah, and I think it's exactly what Ryan Day needed. I mean, I think coming into this season, obviously, all the questions about, whether Ryan Day was going to last or whether, he should be fired or where the program was going or, what the situation was going to look like. And all Ryan Day did was go out into the portal this past offseason, go out and get Will Howard, continue to develop his defense. And all of a sudden they're in a situation where they have a defense that can make plays and an offense that is dominant. And that ultimately is why they're able to beat some of the best teams in the country. I know this is rocket science, but when you stop the other team and then you go down and score, that's how you win a lot of football games. And Ryan Day has figured that out. And I think that the hard part is going into the Texas game, I still had reservations about whether this team would show up or whether we would get, another epic choke job out of Ryan Day and Ohio State. And I think they answered those questions. And I think, after beating these three teams, like I don't think we should be questioning Ryan Day anymore at this point. Like I think he's got his team peaking at the right time. I think he deserves credit for how they show up. He deserves credit for, getting his team to bounce back from the Michigan loss earlier in the year. It would have been easy to fold. So, yeah, I mean, I think this college football playoff has been extremely compelling. I think Ohio State's gone on one of the best runs in the college football playoff era that we've had so far in terms of who they've had to play. And I don't see any reason why at this point, when you're playing a Notre Dame team who can't score points, why you shouldn't win a national championship.
Yeah, and I look at Ohio State and I look at the adversity. The loss to Michigan is still inexplicable. But you look at the domination that we have seen, especially on the defensive side of the football. I thought it was very apropos for Sawyer to get that strip sack on Quinn Ewers and run that ball all the way back to kind of seal the win. I mean, it just feels like all of the stars have aligned for a football team that for a lot of this season didn't live up to the expectations. And certainly the expectations were lofty, but how could they not be with all of the talent that is on this roster? And you listen to Ryan Day talk about his team, and you listen to Ryan Day talk about his talent. And it's remarkable to me that you have a guy like Will Howard, who K-State fans just didn't want anymore. They threw Will Howard out of Manhattan, Kansas, just as soon as they could. And it's remarkable to me that Will Howard goes from a tearful last look at K-State to the accolades of Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes and pretty much all of their fans. What a run for Will Howard.
Well, I think when you look at the guys that we have in our program, you see guys who are tough. You see guys who are resilient. And you see guys that care about each other. You see guys that love being Buckeyes. You're seeing two of them right here. Both guys here have two different stories. One just got here. But like when I see him get around our team, when I saw him on stage tonight, when I saw him embracing everybody in the locker room, like this guy loves his teammates. He's only been here a year, but in such a short period of time, he's made such an amazing impact on our team. He's made an impact on me.
I mean, it is unbelievable. And then you hear Will Howard talking about that final drive. Has this guy not been a Buckeye for life?
Yeah, it was a great play and a statement drive. You know, we needed that. We've been beating ourselves all day with, you know, penalties and you know, just getting behind the sticks, and that was a statement drive, man. And the O-line did a heck of a job on that drive, and I think guys stepped up and made plays, and obviously, you know, what the defense did on the next drive, you know, sealed it. But you know, they bailed us out all game, and you know, I can't say enough good things about this guy sitting next to me and about our whole defense, because they played their tails off today.
They really did, and I think we talked about this leading up to this game. Ohio State's defense, Texas's defense. You knew this was going to be that type of game. And again, the Sawyer strip sack, obviously that's what people will remember. This Ohio State defense is elite. It is fast. It is physical. It is disciplined. And you have the weapons. You have a guy in Will Howard who's got an unbelievable complement of wide receivers. Travion Henderson breaking off another huge play. Like, you have all of the ingredients you need to be a championship football team. And the question now is, can Ryan Day prepare his football team to beat Notre Dame? And I don't see any reason that they cannot. Because, again, and we're going to talk about Notre Dame in a minute, this Ohio State team is they're just murderers row. And you listen to Quinn Ewers. Listen to Quinn talk about losing 2 years in a row, and just listen to the despair, the depths of despair in Quinn Ewers' voice.
Yeah, you know, it's tough. I think Coach Sark hit it. You know, it's the life of a competitor, and it sucks being on this side of things for sure. I mean, back-to-back years, pretty much the game decided in one play. And, you know, it's hard. It's hard. You know, all the work that we put in, you know, being in the Final Four back-to-back years and coming up short 2 years, it's tough. But, you know, I think that's how life is. You're going to get punched in the face and in some hard moments.
Man.
Brutal.
You can, and he's right. It's been one play 2 years in a row. And to give up that strip sack against Ohio State to your former roommate, that is gut-wrenching. And I think Sark is where Ryan Day was after the Michigan game. Can Steve Sarkisian win the big game? We're not asking that about Ryan Day and the Bucs anymore. And I think that's a significant change. I don't know how you don't favor the Buckeyes against Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you watch the Texas game for Ohio State, you watch that game and you come to realize that Texas took Jeremiah Smith away, and Will Howard still found a way to get it done. They were still able to run the football. They were still able to score enough points and hold Texas down to go out and win that game. And I think watching the Notre Dame Penn State game, I look at that game and I say, man, these are two just awful quarterbacks who can't throw the football down the field against good defenses. And somehow, some way, Riley Leonard and company find a way to get a score here, score there to win the ball game. It was not convincing. It was very much in question until the end. So to me, I think that what you said last week still rings true, which is Ohio State and Texas was the national championship game. I look at this Ohio State team, and yes, Notre Dame's got a great defense. Yes, they do. One of the best defenses in the country, but that's not anything new for Ohio State. Ohio State's been playing the best defenses in the country. Ohio State's been seeing the best competition they can see. Yeah. So I would agree. I think it would be shocking for Notre Dame to beat Ohio State to win a national championship. It would be the upset of upsets, in my opinion, just because Notre Dame can't score the football on the same level Ohio State can. And again, against Penn State, what was Notre Dame doing? Not moving the football, and their defense was having to play the game of their life once again just to be in the game. And that's, to me, why I just don't think you can have a lot of confidence in Notre Dame to win the game.
Yeah, and I think Texas is very good. Is Quinn Ewers, is he better than Will Howard? I think they're very similar. I don't think that Texas was out-talented. I think Texas got out-executed. I think that you got beat by a team. And when you're as talented as Texas and Ohio State is and are, it's going to be moments that win the game. Moments created by really good football players that are really well prepared. That's what you saw. And I do think that while the strip sack is the one we'll remember, I think that throughout the second half, Ohio State was just a better football team. I don't think that it was, he got, this, or the Travion Henderson play. That's a moment that was created throughout that game. And to have that moment on top of the Sawyer moment, on top of you had your best wide receiver, and I want to, because I still can't believe this. Jeremiah Smith had one catch for 3 yards.
Yeah, they took him away, man.
And you still won the game. That's depth. That's quality. So I think Quinn Ewers is a good quarterback who's not elite. I think Will Howard is a very good quarterback who has not played his best football yet. That's the thing that really scares you if you're a Notre Dame fan. A lot of these cats at Ohio State have not played their best football yet. And I love the Ohio State story. I think losing to Michigan should have ended their season, could have ended their season, would have ended the season for most teams. You don't recover from a loss like that. You don't recover from the BS that happened after that game. Yet Ohio State did. And I guess we can wax poetic about their story.
Well, I think one other thing too that to that point, if you go and you go on YouTube or wherever you like to get your content, and you find the post game press conferences and you watch them in totality, you begin to understand that like Ryan Day was asked directly, hey, how good does it feel, that Michigan flag planted on you guys and now you're going to the national championship game? He didn't even acknowledge the question.
No,
I mean, he didn't even they're not even in that space. They're just focused on moving forward.
It never
winning
happened.
The national championship game. That's where they are at. And I think that's why they're having success. And I think that's the hard part. For I think Michigan right now and Ohio State and this rivalry is that, yes, Michigan got them this year in a game that they should not have won, but somehow found a way. and Ohio State has still persevered and pushed through. So I think the conversation that we're probably going to have after, next Monday's game, national championship game, I believe it is the 20th. If Ryan Day and Ohio State find a way to win a national championship, which I think they will, now I got to start having a question about our conversation about Ryan Day and what his picture looks like, because we've gone from this dude should be fired, everything sucks, the program is terrible,
can't beat Michigan,
to now can't beat Michigan, wins national championships, and that Michigan game now looks like a fluke. And that's the hard part, is I think for Michigan fan moving forward, that's not going to be a fun conversation with you based on where these two programs are at.
Yeah, I agree. And then there's Notre Dame. And we've talked about this all year long, and we've talked about this mediocre offense. I jokingly on this show say, what do we call it? Told you so Monday or whatever it is.
Yeah, I told you so Monday.
I think that Penn State Notre Dame game played out just as we told you it would. You're looking at two offenses that are offensive. They're bad. Those are bad offenses. And you look at Riley Leonard and Drew Aller. Stop with this nonsense about Drew Aller, top NFL quarterback.
He's not even close, dude.
Stop. There's a reason he's coming back. And in my opinion, you look at Riley Leonard and you look at that Notre Dame offense, there's nothing impressive about the Notre Dame offense as a total picture. I look at Riley Leonard, and he is exactly who we thought he was, a guy who cannot throw you to a victory. That was against Penn State. Ohio State's defense is twice as good as Penn State. You actually have corners who can cover. You have physical safeties who are disciplined. I think one of the biggest mistakes Penn State made against Notre Dame, overran the football constantly. And when I look at the differences between Ohio State and Notre Dame, you have a far more experienced coaching staff at Ohio State. I look at Marcus Freeman. Look how bad Notre Dame was in the first half. And what did we see? Chaos on defense. Not set.
Just look confused and unprepared.
Not in the right formations. Not set up at the snap. Guys moving and running across the formation as the ball is being snapped by Penn State. All of the ugliness I've talked about all year long with this football team reared its head in that first half. They made fantastic halftime adjustments. But even at your best in the second half, can this Notre Dame offense compete with Ohio State's defense? And the answer is they cannot. Because this Ohio State defense does not need man over the way Penn State did. Does not need it.
Yeah.
You can have 7 guys in the box for 4 quarters because you're talented on the back end of the defense. And I think that's what Notre Dame's going to get, because why wouldn't you?
Oh, and I think, watching the game, the Drew Aller interception at the end of the game there to seal the game, that's one of the worst decisions I've seen any quarterback make in the college football playoff this year.
No idea what you were thinking.
Yeah, I don't know where you were throwing that ball. I don't know what you were looking at. Don't know what you saw there. And I'm not going to say it's all his fault. They only lost the game because he threw that interception. I'm not going to say that, but I think his quarterback play just was not good. And everyone wants to say that this guy's like a top 5 pick in next year's draft. And I'm sitting here saying right now he's not. He's got a lot of work to do. And he's got a lot of work to do at a school that typically puts out running backs, not wide receivers. And to me, I look at this and I say, okay, well, Riley Leonard's not exactly a world beater either. And I think it's interesting. Riley Leonard leaves this game to go through concussion protocol, and your backup comes in and looks better than he does. And I have to say, watching that, I'm sitting here saying, man, this does feel like exactly what we said it was, which is Riley Leonard is a sweetheart deal of sorts to go to Notre Dame. Hey, you came in, you played one great game for Duke against Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman falls in love with you. You're everyone's All-American. You're a great guy, great leader. I'm not taking that away from you, but you're just not good enough to go out and win a national championship. And my fear is that playing against Ohio State's defense, you're going to see 2-3 picks out of Riley Leonard. You're going to see some turnovers because they are that good. And that's why I think Notre Dame is not really all that close in this game.
And the thing that I say is, and I know that my Notre Dame brothers on this show will get on me and say I'm too negative, but it's what I say, whether you're Lamar Jackson, I don't pick your quarterback.
Oh, I don't know, Jaden Daniels?
Can you stand in the pocket and deliver the football with the game on the line? That's the question I have. And if you are a running quarterback and you are supposedly one of the dominant running quarterbacks in the country, you can't average 1.9 yards per carry against Penn State. Because again, Ohio State's defense is twice as good, twice as fast, and twice as physical as Penn State. And you average 1.9 yards per carry. 18 carries, 35 yards. That's not going to get it done against Ohio State. Riley Leonard, if Notre Dame's going to win this game, Riley Leonard will have to throw Notre Dame to a win.
Mm-hmm.
And I will continue to tell you that who's your best receiver? Probably Mitchell Evans. At Notre Dame, our best receiver is probably Mitchell Evans. And not to keep telling you I told you so Monday, I warned you about Mitchell Evans. That's your weapon in the passing game. And he dominated. But the problem is Penn State doesn't have linebackers who can run with tight ends. That's all Ohio State's got. That's all they have is linebackers that are faster than your tight ends. So I want to, and I'm sure as the week goes on, I might find some matchups.
Yeah.
But when you look at Notre Dame's passing offense, Mitchell Evans is your best receiving option. Is he a down threat? He's not a downfield big play threat. He is a threat on the boundary, and he's a threat in the middle of a zone. And I don't believe, this is just my opinion, I don't believe Ohio State will play zone against Notre Dame.
No, they have no need.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't think you're going to see a lot of zone out of Ohio State unless it's garbage time, unless you're at the end of the game and you're up 3 possessions and, it's just not, you just have no need to play man. You can just sit back and zone. But yeah, I mean, I think if you've watched Ohio State, it's pretty clear how they're going to play Notre Dame's offense. They're going to play man coverage, and they're going to put Caleb Downs in the middle of the field about 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and they're going to let him free flow and play the game. And that's what terrifies me. Now, if I said, hey, Notre Dame's got an elite pocket passing quarterback who understands how to read a defense and manipulate a defense with his eyes, then I think this game is a lot closer. Then I still think Ohio State wins, but now I'm like, hey, maybe this is a one-possession game. But Riley Leonard just is not that guy. And just to be clear, I love him as a dude. Like, he's a great guy, great teammate, a great locker room guy, like everything you want in terms of a competitor. But skill set wise, that's just not his game. And that's unfortunate, because I do think that while I tend to lean your way with Marcus Freeman in the sense that, yeah, this guy has progressed a lot, but man, he was a really raw coaching talent. This guy had to go through some really dumb, stupid mistakes as a coach to learn, and he's doing that. And I think that's why it's not his time. He's still learning. He's still trying to get better.
And when do you generally make those mistakes?
In big games, big moments against great teams who are better than you.
That's exactly right. Marcus Freeman on the win over Penn State.
It was going to be a battle, and we didn't have great production in the first half, and it was a 7-point game. And I told him, we get the ball the first series of the second half, and we just got to go out and execute on this play. But I wanted them to understand we did not play to our standard in the first half, and credit to Penn State for what they did on both sides of the ball. But it was a 7-point game. It didn't feel like that going into the locker room, but it was a 7-point game, and our guys went out there and performed that second half.
And I agree. It didn't feel like Notre Dame was winning that game or in position to win that game. But yeah, I know that we've talked ad nauseum about Marcus Freeman on the show. I know we've talked ad nauseum about the lackluster, toothless offense that Notre Dame has. That has not changed, and I think that was on display against Penn State. And the thing that I'll say is Penn State does not complete a pass to a wide receiver against Notre Dame,
which is just wild.
You're not. This is going to be a completely different game than you had against Penn State. And I think the defense is up for the task. I think Notre Dame is a defense that tackles really well. Notre Dame's susceptible to speed down the sideline. That is one of the biggest weaknesses in this Notre Dame defense. They are susceptible down the boundary to speed. And I think that you have that at Ohio State. You do. I'm not concerned about Travion Henderson breaking you off for massive runs. You look at the numbers. The one thing that without question that Penn State does very well is they run the ball. And you look at the numbers. Penn State ran it for 204 yards. And when you get into how that happened, that really happened with Nick Singleton scoring those 3 touchdowns. So what does that tell you? You can actually run on the Notre Dame defense. So I think when you start comparing, and I've seen this a lot with Notre Dame fans over the last couple of days, oh, we're just as good as Ohio State's defense. No, you're not. You're not. And I just, the proof is in the pudding. A week from tonight, we're going to find out.
But let's say you were. There's no question Ohio State's offense is superior. So either way, you're behind. That's the problem.
I would love to sit here and tell you, as you hit the like button right here on the Monty Show, and if you're watching on X, good morning to you, Facebook, Spotify, come on over to YouTube. Just Google search The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show. It'll pop right up our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, give us a thumbs up, hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And again, I just tell you, you're looking at 2 coaches. And I don't know that anybody would describe Ryan Day as an elite head coach. I don't think anybody would. But you're looking at 2 coaches that are vastly different when it comes to their resumes. Ryan Day has been here. Mm-hmm. Ryan Day has done this. Chip Kelly has been here. Chip Kelly has done this. Their talent, they're deep, they're upperclassmen. Like Notre Dame has never been here. This group of coaches has not been here. Marcus Freeman has not been here. These players have not been here. And in these biggest moments, in national championship games, having been there, having played, having coached at these levels matters. And I think if you look at the Ohio State talent, you're talking about Will Howard, who's played in plenty of big games.
He has.
You're talking and I'm a big believer, and I don't mean to get philosophical on that ass, but I'm a big believer that you learn so much more from losing than you're ever going to learn from winning. Ohio State has had traumatic big game losses. Ryan Day, over his career at Ohio State, has had traumatic big game losses. You feel like they're seasoned now.
Yeah.
Right? You feel like the brisket is now resting, just waiting to
slice that thing open, raising the national championship trophy.
That's what I feel like Ohio State is.
Yeah, this isn't a big game for Ohio State. That's the problem. Like the big game was Oregon, right? Yeah. The big game, once you beat Oregon, once you got off of that, now it was like, oh, hey, we just dismantled Oregon. Now let's come in and play the same kind of football against Texas, and we'll win that game by 2 scores. And obviously the Sawyer strip sack, ends it in iconic fashion. Because I do agree that, assuming they go on and win the national championship, it's a historic moment that will not be forgotten.
And you think about the history of Ohio State football. That's one of the biggest moments in the history of Ohio State football. And isn't it fitting that Jack Sawyer had the moment?
Yeah. And so I just think that Ohio State, if you want to call them seasoned, if you want to call them prepared, if you want to call them experienced, whatever words you want to use.
They're a veteran roster.
They're a veteran roster that Ryan Day only, and I love this too. I have to say, I love this portion. All the hyenas that said, $20 million NIL roster. He bought all his players, even though most of his defense is 3-4 year guys now, developed in the program. Like people love to hate on Ryan Day. And I have to say, I understand it. He's lost some games he shouldn't have lost. But if this dude goes out on Monday and wins a national championship, it's time to start calling him an elite head coach. It's time to start saying, yeah, this guy, maybe he doesn't beat Michigan enough, but my God, he wins national championships and he knows how to develop talent because that's why they're here. He's developed 80% of that roster. 80% of that roster has been there. Now, he brought in Caleb Downs, obviously. He brought in Will Howard. He brought in those finishing touches to really complete this roster. But let's not take anything away from Ryan Day by saying, hey, they have the most money, so that's the only reason they're here, because I just don't think that that's a fair assessment.
I think when you look at Chip Kelly, Brian Hartline, certainly Jim Knowles on defense, this coaching staff, it's just built the right way. That's why I say it. And I'm not hating on Marcus Freeman. Again, I have criticized Marcus. The thing that worries me is everything that happened in that first half is everything I described that's wrong with this football team.
Yeah.
They were not prepared. They couldn't get the balls in the defense. They were have a defensive lineman running onto the field and the ball's already been snapped because you only had 10 men on the field because you were it's that stuff that continues. Now, didn't happen in the second half. You were a much better football team. But you'll be down 21, 24, 27, nothing if you do that against Ohio State. As simple as I can say it.
Yeah.
It is, and I love Notre Dame. I have said this 1,000 times. I grew up as a Notre Dame fan. I am so thrilled that this team is back to the national championship game.
Yeah.
But again, I ask you, with all the money and all the recruiting, and how is Riley Leonard our quarterback? How is Riley Leonard the starting quarterback at Notre Dame?
No idea. How is your backup better than your starter?
The Dylan Gabriels at throwing the football. Riley Leonard, listen, and I know why people are saying that. Riley Leonard is not a gifted passer. He is a gifted leader, and he is a gifted athlete. He is not somebody on third and 8 is terrifying to me as a Notre Dame football fan. 3rd and 8 is the worst down in the history of football for Notre Dame. Yep. With Riley Leonard at quarterback, if you are not productive, and in the first half against Penn State, and anybody who watched this game, they were not productive on 1st and 2nd down.
Mm-hmm.
And why were they not productive? Because they don't have the ability to take the deep shot. They don't. And Penn State, the same. I warned all of the pedophiles about Drew Aller. I did. I warned all you pedophiles about that. I took great joy in walking out of the sports book at Aria at the half. And I don't remember what they turned it over or something.
Yeah.
And getting up and standing up in the Aria Sportsbook and screaming the word pedophiles, it brought me great pleasure. Right? It made me, Jake wanted to run and hide, but I felt very good about it.
Bro.
What?
It's so bad. So uncomfortable.
But how no, it wasn't though. Because a lot of people clapped and laughed when I said
they did,
that.
but I just was like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Listen, I think the Penn State win was our championship night. That was as good as it's going to get. It was awesome to watch it together. We were watching the game together. It was fantastic, man. It was really, really good to get upset and we were watching the first half of the game at Norris Italian in Las Vegas. May have been some hand slamming on the bar, but to sit there and watch that game and have some great rigatoni and have some great bruschetta and aquapana, how you don't like Norris in Las Vegas is appalling
you
to me.
keep saying that. I
just
Norris.
don't understand it. I do not. All right, let's get to the comment section on the Monty Show, because we also have to talk about Marcus Freeman as a Chicago Bear coaching candidate. I'm not ready for that traumatically, and in my arc of therapy, of sports therapy, I'm not ready for that yet. The comment section is always presented by Prize Picks, prizepicks.com. The best daily fantasy app. It's why tens of millions of Americans play daily fantasy every single day at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app. Let's Prize Pick the Ohio State Notre Dame game.
Well, just the Ohio State game.
Let's Prize Pick the Ohio State championship celebration. Because that enhances your in-game experience.
Yes.
I love Prize Picks. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more instantly. It's that simple. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty to open a new Prize Picks account. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more instantly at Prize Picks. Let's see who's the first one in today. Let's go all the way back to the top. Apologize. We have a lot of comments this morning. The real Pete Forte first one in with the pro rata he deserves. Morning. Lopes fan Gabe, yes, please hit the like button. We are well north of 1,000 views today. We only have 31 likes. Please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Welcome to the nightmare. How are you? The Chad Carter says OHIO, let's go. There you go. Steely, always good to see you. Mad Cat, good morning to you, sir. Sunbury, hello. Is Oak State going to do anything in the transfer portal of note? Okay, Sunbury. Somebody was asking me the other day if they were being too critical, but hasn't this been a off season of inaction so far in Stillwater?
Yeah.
And you've made some moves, but you've lost. The net is negative because Oak State has lost so much more talent than they brought in. So I'm a little surprised to see. It'll be interesting to see how you guys do. Buenos dias and quesadillas and stuff.
Yeah.
We show up.
Good to see you, JC. Hope all is well, everyone. It's a new year. Go Pokes. Yes, go Pokes. The Harry Austin, a great San Antonian. Good morning. Maury Alvarez. I absolutely would love to see Ohio State lose. This is one of the very few times where I will be rooting for Notre Dame.
Wow.
Eric in Raleigh on X says, stop it, Montgomery. Okay. How confident are you in the Fighting Irish, Monty? Not confident at all.
Yeah, I think we've answered that question.
Tom Dean, I told you so about Notre Dame. Exactly. We knew Marcus was he was an elite head. Mr. Bucknuts.
Nice name, dude.
How will Notre Dame move the ball? I have no idea. You're going to have to, I think if Notre Dame, the only scenario I can see where Notre Dame wins is Riley Leonard's going to have to take some deep shots. And you are going to have to continue to find places in this offense where you can run double moves. The problem is Notre Dame's offensive line is very average at this point. Your left side is decimated by injury. Riley Leonard's going to have probably 2 breaths to get rid of the football, if that. And a double move takes about 3.8 to 4 seconds to release the football on. Will Riley Leonard have that much time to release the football?
Doubtful.
It is doubtful. It is. Boyd Lake, hello. Ewers didn't look mobile at all. No, he did not. I would agree with that. The awkward guy. Quinn Sewers That's like a sewer,
Right.
where all the poopies go.
Right.
Couldn't move the ball down the field, and he just doesn't have pocket awareness.
I disagree. I mean, if you listen to him, he talks about how, he felt Jack Sawyer. He talks about how he knew Jack was there.
Why he was fading away.
Yeah, it's not in question that he knew Sawyer was coming. I think, he all but said, like, hey, I thought I could get that pass off before Jack got there. And clearly I was wrong.
Yep. Steely. Oregon and Texas both spent more on NIL. So you take 20 million, your take on 20 million is kind of hilarious. I think NIL is certainly a way that you get in the door. Right? I mean, it's certainly how you start conversations in this day and age of college football.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't win you national championships.
I was going to say, what do you mean my take on NIL is kind of hilarious when those two teams lost to Ohio State? Because Ohio State has a veteran roster that's been developed. And the NIL money that they did spend was just to add final pieces to that roster.
Caleb Downs.
Yeah. Like,
has he been in? Is Caleb Downs? Has he impacted this defense at all?
So I'm trying to understand when you say our take on that is hilarious, what does that mean? Are you saying that we're wrong? Is your point we're wrong because Oregon and Texas spent more? Well, those two teams just lost to Ohio State, so I don't understand.
We'll see. I think the way Ohio State went about building this roster it's a masterclass. You have depth, you have talent, you have 2s and 3s that can be 1s on most people's roster.
And you have culture, man. You've got belief
everything
throughout the roster.
Yeah, it's everything you want. The Chad Carter. I think it's pretty clear Marcus Freeman has helped Notre Dame take some steps forward. He still has some to go through. He's a former Buckeye, which makes this matchup more fun. I think, listen, Marcus Freeman has matured as a coach. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But you cannot, in a game of consequence, where a shot at a national championship is on the line, you can't have chaos on defense. 3, 4, 5 straight drives. And I mean, can't get the play call in. Guys are not in the right place when the ball is snapped.
Yeah.
Repeatedly. Over and over again.
And it did lead to extra yardage for Penn State.
Extra first downs.
Yeah.
Extra first downs.
Yeah.
Not being able to. The thing that was amazing is Penn State ran that set where they overloaded the right side of their offensive line. And you had Warren there, and they were clearly exploiting pre-snap shifting because they knew in the first half anyway, they knew Notre Dame couldn't adjust. And if it had been one drive and then you made the adjustments, okay, great. It was 3, 4 drives.
Yeah.
Where you're shifting, Penn State is shifting guys, and Notre Dame doesn't know what to do. Bro, it's January. It's not spring ball. It's not fall camp. It's not October. It's January.
Well, and I honestly, I really felt like even before that part had taken place, I just felt like Notre Dame's defense came out. It was just a mess, just generally speaking. It wasn't like that. Definitely happened. The shifting and Penn State absolutely leveraged that and took advantage of that. But I felt like in the bigger picture, it was worse than just they weren't prepared for the shift. I felt like they came out and they were doing the runaround thing, not knowing what the coverage was, not knowing what their responsibilities were on the first defensive possession they had. But
it's the problem is it's one of the last. I don't remember. It's somewhere in the second quarter. You're not sure if you're in man or zone. Because Penn State sends a wide receiver across the formation, and Notre Dame's linebackers and corners are arguing with each other about whether or not he should be followed. That's the stuff that worries you.
Yeah.
Lack of communication, lack of game plan. What that tells you is Not everybody knows the defensive call. That's what worries you.
Yeah. So where's the breakdown? Is that a breakdown with the player on the field, or is that in communicating that to the other 10 guys? Is that a breakdown in how the DC is delivering the call? Like those are the things that, to your point, like it's January. These are things that should have been worked out when you were playing nobody in the middle of your schedule. Like this, you shouldn't have these issues.
Yeah, I just feel like it's one of those things where you can't explain that away as just nerves, or because it wasn't nerves.
No.
Nordge Coog, nobody will accuse you of being a homer, Monty. You've been dogging your Irish all year, and this time you might finally be right about them. I don't think it's not a dogging them. I always tell you on the show, no matter who you're a fan of, take your emotions out of it.
Yeah.
Because when you take emotions out of analysis, you can actually see things differently. Notre Dame has talent defensively. They're just oftentimes ill-prepared. They're ill-prepared. And if you don't know that Warren is going to be the first, second, and third option for Drew Aller, how are you trying to cover him one-on-one? I don't care who your defense is. You have to have two guys to tackle Warren.
And I will say, in the second half, I felt like they made a concerted effort to get physical with Warren. I felt like there was definitely some. Hey,
they finished more. They finished. He was going down or on the ground, and another defender was hitting him. And listen, the guy had 6 for 75.
Yeah.
Through the air and 2 for 21 on the ground. Like, he had a night. The guy a tight end almost, accounted for 100 yards of offense.
Yeah.
Against an elite defense. That's troubling. But yeah, I would agree with you. They very clearly had a mission to be more physical with Ty Warren. So, but again, and what are the differences between Ohio State and Penn State? I mean, you're not more physical than Quinshon Judkins. You're not faster than Travion. You're not.
Which really concerns me about it. And again, this is why I just don't think you can pick Notre Dame. Notre Dame got physically manhandled in the first half. Now, maybe some of that is unprepared, chaos, not in the right place at the right. Okay, cool. We can attribute some of that physical domination to that, but you're not gonna excuse away or sort of sugarcoat that Penn State offensive line moving you, because they were absolutely doing that. And what if you're a Notre Dame fan, what should terrify you if you're trying to be an optimist is Judkins, because he was super physical in the Texas game, running guys over, being really physical with his running. Like Ohio State's going to bring it to you. And that's why I'm saying this isn't really a conversation to me about whether Notre Dame's going to lose the game or not. They're going to lose this game. What's more of a question is, how do they look through the game? Do you come out and you look prepared and you're just overmatched? Or is this, hey, we look completely lost and we're embarrassing ourselves type performance?
Yeah, I'll be interested to see, like, hallmarks of good teams are, can Notre Dame finish a quarter or a half? I mean, well, hell, you look at Travion Henderson. What was that? Under 15 seconds left. I don't remember how much time was left. Yeah. That big touchdown catch he had, the big play that Travion Henderson had, was at the end of the first half. I mean, that's a backbreaker, right? That turns out to be one of the most critical plays of the game. Who wins the coin toss? I think having the ball out of the halftime break, having the first possession of the second half is critical. And I think you saw it with Notre Dame. You really need that. So all that stuff will be interesting. And feel free. Where do you guys think this game goes? We're a week away, obviously. Do you have a scenario? I don't have a scenario where Notre Dame wins the game.
Yeah. I
think this is very likely a 27-10 football game that Ohio State's going to win. V-Note the most once said. Okay. Marcus is a better coach than Day. Come on.
Okay is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, it's too early for
come on, guy.
Hallucinogens.
Be better.
Come on, Aaron Rodgers. With an 8.5 point spread, I would definitely go over with how anemic Notre Dame's offense is. So you would take Ohio State to cover.
Yeah.
I look at the number of 45.5. I think it's going to be tough to take the over in that game.
Agreed. I think it's Ohio State covers, but it goes under.
I don't know. I was looking at scenarios last night, matchups. I don't know how you get more than, how do you score 2 touchdowns on Ohio State's defense with the way that Notre Dame operates offensively?
Turnovers. That's the only way. It's the only way you're going to do that.
You're going to need Will Howard to make a big mistake. You're going to need the pick 6 against Penn State.
Yeah.
And I would also remind you, Ohio State won that game. That's the only, right? I mean, we all remember Will Howard throws that pick 6 against Penn State.
Yeah.
And we all thought it was going to be a good day for pedophilia, right? It was absolutely demoralizing. And then Ohio State comes right back and pounds them. So that's the question I have is, how do you where can you find 14, 17 points? Because if Notre Dame's going to win this game, it'll be 21-17, 24-21.
Yeah.
It'll be because we got the score right pretty much on the Penn State game. I think we predicted 27-24. I had Penn State winning that game.
Yeah.
But I mean, formulaically speaking, I don't have a way that I can put together 17, 21, 24 points for Notre Dame against Ohio State. This is the best defense I think I've seen in some time in college football. This Ohio State defense. I mean, from all the way on top to all the way up front, this Ohio State defense is really balanced, loaded, deep. That's the thing that I would love to. I don't know how to pick them as a winner. Ben Johnson has been accused of being the suspect of burning. Okay, sure. Tom Dean, football terms used on the program so far this morning in the box, D and quick release. Well,
I mean, Tom,
show.
I mean, if you're, watching the show from that perspective, you're probably a Penn State fan, Wow.
Okay. Okay. Queued up fan Jim. NIL is not just for transfers. Certainly not. Certainly not. But you win championships through the transfer portal. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
You look at all of these teams that are at the top of the college football playoff. Texas, tons of transfer portal. Quinn Ewers. You look at Ohio State, certainly. Obviously, Caleb Downs and I mean that defense. Will Howard,
it's everything.
Transfer
you need.
portal.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, Riley Leonard, transfer portal. It's not rocket science. You have to recruit well. And NIL certainly impacts recruiting, high school recruiting. You win championships in the portal, in my opinion. Because I go back to what Dion said. If I've got a 25 in number, if I've got 25 incoming freshmen, we're not winning a championship. We're not. Because you're going to get half a dozen of those cats to play. Oh, but if I've got 10 guys coming in, 4 of them redshirt, 6 of them play, and I've got, a half dozen contributors through the portal, I'm probably going to the college football playoff.
Yeah, you're just and even through that process, and this is what Ryan Day has going on at Ohio State is hey, our freshman class, we're going to get at least half of those guys to make an impact on the field this year. But then those guys who redshirt and don't play for us most of the year, we're going to be developing them. So they're going to make huge gains in the mental portion of the game. So when Jack Sawyer was a freshman at Ohio State and he wasn't getting the reps, but he was preparing mentally and was in every moment on the sideline, now making that strip sack play to return it for a touchdown isn't as big of an ask because he's ready. He's been ready. And that's what I think great football programs do. And by the way, not that Dion's a topic on the show today, but I did think it was really interesting that he put out video of him talking about now he doesn't have to be a dad and a head coach. He can just be a head coach. And people thought that it was a bad thing that those guys moved on to the NFL. So very interested to see what, Dion can do and if they can repeat their success, because I think there's a good chance they do.
And I also agree with something that, and I know a lot of coaches have said this, but Lane Kiffin, I thought a couple of weeks ago, made an interesting point that you don't start preparing to win a national championship when a kid gets to campus. Right? Like that kid is preparing to win a national championship at Ohio State as a high school football player.
Mm-hmm.
as a kid that, any of these quarterbacks, these Elite 11 guys, you're preparing to win a national championship long before you ever get there. And I think that's the player that these top programs look for. But again, I just ask, is Riley Leonard that guy? Is Will Howard that guy? Unequivocally, Will Howard's that guy.
Yeah.
How many K-State fans would like to go back in time? Let's wind the clocks back.
Yeah, dude.
Would you still want to run Will Howard out on a rail? Because remember how good Avery Johnson was going to be? I think you probably wouldn't. Monty, with God and Jesus on Notre Dame's side, there's no way Ohio State can win the game. Notre Dame will cheat to win this game, and OSU pounding Notre Dame. This is a family program. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be talking about pounding.
Yeah,
D-Rock Irish, good morning. I think Notre Dame will have to run the ball with short passes too. I have some time-consuming drives. You got to possess the football.
Oh, and that's the other way you can beat Ohio State.
That's a great point.
Which again, Texas did a really poor job of. I think Texas had a lot of opportunities to score in that game, but they, their drives.
When Golden got hurt, I kind of thought that all went out the window.
And I think that, Golden was already, I don't care what ESPN reports in terms of how good a guy is feeling. I judge it by, it's like Jeremiah Love with the knee brace, right? Like, okay, he's 80% coming. Okay, well, what does that mean, right? But Golden comes into this game.
Leaping, when Jeremiah Love's only thing he said he can't do is leap people, no hurdling, and he hurdles a guy and lands on the good leg, and he's pushing through to that first down on the good leg, and we're like, notice,
which leg is he used? Like, I just think that I think that against Ohio State, Notre Dame's strategy needs to be to possess the football and not turn it over. If you turn it over, you're going to lose, and you're going to lose by a lot.
Well, this last line, fatal if Notre Dame has consecutive 3-and-outs. That's the issue with this kind of offense where we are on offense at this point. I say we, Notre Dame, where Notre Dame is on offense at this point. That ball club's not built to play behind the sticks. You have to be productive on first and second down.
Yes.
And the difference between 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 3, oh, well, Marty, it's 5 yards. It might as well be 100. When you cannot throw beyond the linebacker, Riley Leonard's comfort zone, and you look at his interceptions, his comfort zone is 4 to 6 yards. Put it on a guy, let him run after the catch. He is not comfortable 10, 12, 15 yards down the field. Those throws that you see guys like Will Howard or Quinn Ewers is, I think, one of the elite out route throwers, where you'll run a guy 12 yards, hit the sideline, make a catch, step out of bounds. That's not Riley Leonard's game.
Right.
And in games like this where, and I think it's 27-10 Ohio State, but in a game like the Penn State game, think about what it would mean if he was able to leverage Faison in a way where you could get him running, a dichotomy of routes where you could actually utilize, 3-4 receivers on the field at the same time, running a deeper route tree with deeper route combinations, manipulating a defense. That's not Riley Leonard. And it's why Notre Dame's offense is not difficult to defend. It's why guys like Abdul Carter with one shoulder can stand on the right side of the Notre Dame offensive line and dominate with one shoulder. He never had to play on the right side of his defensive line, Notre Dame's left, which is Notre Dame's weaker side of the offensive line. He either played middle or he played right side of the Notre Dame line.
Yeah. Because
Notre Dame's offense is not difficult to defend. So we'll see. It'll all play out on the field, D-Rock, but I think you make some good points there. Salty Virginia Peanuts. Colorado went to the playoff. Who's saying anything about Colorado going to the playoff?
Anything about that?
I don't know what you mean by that. I'm not sure. Georgia and Penn State think Riley Leonard is that guy. No, they don't. Why did Notre Dame beat Georgia? You think Notre Dame beat Georgia because of Riley Leonard? Did you watch that game? And do you think Notre Dame beat Penn State because of Riley Leonard?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, everyone, coming out of the Georgia game was like, oh, Riley Leonard, great play, jumping over a guy to get that first down. And that was a great play, but that's not why they won the game. That just sealed the game.
Yeah. The stadium guy, James, who routinely now is sending us videos talking about his butthole bleeding.
Dude.
Which
Bro.
I'm not even exaggerating.
Dude.
I walk into the studio. Jake beats me to the studio this morning.
You guys
and he's
know,
got like an Oak State James video pulled up talking about how James's butthole is bleeding.
So you guys know last week, obviously, had a couple days off. We were in Vegas for CES. So I'm not like actively on Twitter checking my mentions and stuff. I get to the studio today and pop open Twitter, just kind of see what's going on, see if there's anything good.
Why?
And what do I get? Dude, I get a video where I'm tagged by James in his health struggles. And bro, I just want to say I hope you get well, man. I don't want anyone struggling. But I have to say I would never put out a video like that. I'm not trying to hate on you, bud, but like putting out a video like that in such detail, oh,
come on, man.
That's tough.
James, good to see you. I hope you feel better. Mr. Bucknuts. Will Howard won the Big 12 versus TCU. He's a beast. He's a great quarterback.
Well, unless you're a K-State fan.
And then he sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks.
Yeah, Garbo.
Just ignore Ferris. His team is irrelevant, and he can't stand Ohio State getting back to the top. Is Ferris going on and on? Okay. Leonard is pretty comfortable throwing intermediate and deep balls to the great one.
What are you talking about, bro? Like, what?
What? Bro, this is sometimes, and this is where I get to the spot where I'm like, I know I watched every snap of the Notre Dame game a couple of times. Are we watching the same game?
You just have to like snap out of it a little bit.
Are we watching the same game?
I don't know what deep ball you're talking about, but he's not Will Howard, bro. He's not throwing bombs like Will does.
I don't think there's any doubt that Riley Leonard is a good thrower of the football inside of, hell, stretch it 7 yards. You want the guy to throw 7-yard outs and 7-yard underneath? Okay, great. But if you think that it's well documented, his inability to throw to a spot even. Like if you ask him, and Notre Dame is not gifted at wide receiver. Greathouse is a horrendous route runner. But you look at Greathouse's touchdown, like, please. I don't, with all due respect, I have no idea what game you're watching. Sharice Armstead, I think it's going to be a defensive battle between Notre Dame and Ohio State, and I think whoever is able to score more points than the other will win. Whew, I hadn't thought about it in that way.
How can we improve our ability as hosts of this show to come up with that type of
whoever scores,
analysis?
I need to say whoever scores more points will win the game. I'm going to have to chew on that for a minute because I'm not sure I agree with that. It's fantastic.
Bro.
Wasikowski, $28.20. I would love it if it was 28-20 because then Notre Dame, anytime you're within a possession, you can win the game. I don't know how they score 20 points.
Is it possible that they could ride the D?
I mean, it could. I think you would need Ohio State would have to fumble, throw interceptions. You would have to have turnovers.
Yeah.
Have to. I don't know how. How many wins does Washington Commanders have? Bro, what are you talking about?
Bro, we're not talking about the NFL right now.
We'll get there. We'll get there in about 20 minutes, but what are you talking about? Steely. Oh, James, you're so funny. James is great.
Yeah, I'm not mad at James. I'm just saying I like there are some folks in this world who are just more willing to share like intimate details of their health situation. And I'm not one of those people. Not at all.
Especially when it's the butthole.
Yeah, I'm not putting out that type of content on Twitter, dude. That ain't happening.
Yeah. But it's what I always say, James. when you're eating at Bucky's every day. Real quick, I stumbled into a place called H Mart in West Jordan yesterday.
H Mart.
Fantastic. It is Korean and Asian food, and it's a grocery store. We made the most unbelievable ramen with udon noodles, and ramen is bad for you when you buy it off the shelf, like Top Ramen. It's got over 1,000 milligrams of sodium.
Yeah.
We made ramen last night with these udon noodles and mushrooms and the freshest green onion. Yeah. The freshest green onion.
Yeah.
Like put ginger in the water with the noodles and the unbelievable.
Yeah.
Tons of vegetables. You cannot eat Bucky's every day and then be like, why's my butthole bleeding, Daddy? Because you eat Bucky's every day. Get healthy. Eric Wasikowski, Jaden Daniels is going to throw at least 3 picks against Detroit. I would like to congratulate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for finally lighting up a quarterback who was doing the tiptoe action on the sideline.
Dude.
I enjoyed that. Riley Leonard did not play into Georgia's best defense. He didn't give the ball to Georgia. Okay. So we want to talk about Riley Leonard against Georgia. Riley Leonard was 15 of 24 for 90 fucking yards. And you want to sit here and tell me that Riley Leonard somehow had an amazing game against Georgia? No, he did not. I said 90 yards. You realize he ran for 80 yards in that game. What are you, bro?
So wait, let's go through it one more time. What did we miss something here? He didn't give the ball to Georgia.
Do you understand that Riley Leonard against Georgia threw the ball 24 times? He completed 15 passes for 90 yards. Not on one play, on 15 completions. You understand that's an average of 3.8 yards. You can go back, and I know, again,
Monty,
ESPN is not available to everybody on the interwebs or your smartphone or just about any other place you can get it. His stats are not hard to find. You're really going to make the argument that he's the reason they beat Georgia? Are you out of your mind? I'll never understand. I will never understand. Listen, go to the Indiana game, man. At least in that game, he threw for 72% complete. Like, go talk about Indiana. Go talk about his performance against Indiana. Don't talk about his performance against Georgia.
Keep it real.
Like, it hurts my head. And I don't know if you're a Notre Dame fan or not. I have no idea, but Leonard will have a better stat line than Howard.
Oh, come on, dude. Come on now.
Okay. JC, do you guys wear Depends? Sometimes. Because I can't drink any caffeine without relieving myself within 20 minutes.
That's more of a, I don't. Caffeine is my best friend right now. Yeah. A lot of water. Good amount of caffeine.
I don't wear diapers.
I'm not sure why diapers is rolling into the chat, but I don't know if that's a James reference or
because we're drinking an energy drink.
No, I know, but like I'm sitting here like, like I don't know. I think some people are not as tolerant to caffeine. Like some people, caffeine really hits you hard. I'm not one of those people. Like I'm not
either.
But I will say in honor of James, I'm very cognizant about making sure that I'm getting enough water every day. Because if you don't drink water while you're drinking caffeine, that's not going to end well for you.
No, I would agree with that. Mr. Bucknuts, I assume he's talking about Greathouse at wide receiver. You mean Jaden Greathouse? Okay. again, and a lot of Notre Dame fans were doing this the other night on Twitter, talking about how he's a game breaker and he's a difference maker. How many 100-yard games do you think Jaden Greathouse had this year? Just
over-unders at 1.
5, 9. How about 1? 1. Ohio State. What do you do? Georgia, where Riley Leonard was. Because Riley Leonard had a career day against the greatest quarterback performance we've ever seen.
He's an assassin.
Jaden Greathouse, the amazing over-the-top, call the mother Jerry Rice incarnate. 2 catches for 6 yards against Georgia.
I'm for real.
1 catch for 8 yards against Indiana.
I'm for real.
Do you understand that this dude, he averages USC 1 catch, 6 yards. Army 1 catch, 12 yards. Virginia 1 catch, 17 yards.
Listen. Maybe we just need to reframe the label we use. He is the great inside route runner.
Listen. There's only so many ways to be shitty on offense. Notre Dame's figured all of them out. This is an average offense. Our best player is Jeremiah Love. And he's rocking a knee brace. And I thought he was fantastic the other night. But if we go back, and I know this is crazy talk, I think that Jeremiah Love was our best player. Did he break 50 yards? 11 for 45 and a touchdown.
Good game, especially with the knee. That's a good game.
And it was a spectacular touchdown, and the hurdle was amazing.
Against that defense as a running back, that's a good game.
But what do you think what do you think it looks like against the best defense that Notre Dame's seen this year in Ohio State? That's what I'm trying. I wish.
What did he say right there?
Where?
Just to the right below the emoji right there. Yeah, that one. What did he say right there?
The great one equals Jaden Greathouse.
Use your imagination.
You don't think of 54.
Bro, I'm with you. I don't know if we just watch different games or like if like we were, high on cigarette smoke in the sports book or something, but he's not some huge, impactful guy. He's not. Like, what do you like? Where do you come off saying that this guy is, as you call him, the great one? Well, we're not talking about Wayne Gretzky here, bro. Come on.
Do you understand that the 54-yard touchdown pass? Do you remember it? Do you remember the 50? Was it a bomb? Right, because he ran straight down the sideline and they threw a bomb, and Riley Leonard put it 54 yards through the air into the breadbasket, right? No, I believe it was a 12-yard out, and there was not a defender. Go look at the play. There's not a defender within 15 yards of Jaden Greathouse when he caught the ball. I mean, wide the flip open. Makes a guy miss, makes another guy miss, touchdown. I'm not demeaning a 54-yard touchdown play because Greathouse, the run after the catch is the special part of that. Do you really think that was a special throw from Riley Leonard? I remember the play like it happened 5 minutes ago.
Well, and, Riley Leonard's more of a 7-yard specialist, not a 12-yard specialist.
Let me watch the replay of it because I'm sure you can find it on your... Yeah, it's the first thing you pull. If you just Twitter search Greathouse, he's wide open. I mean, it is...
Great scheme. Great scheme.
Oh, the defender fell down. He's wide open. I mean, you can watch the play. I mean, my guy's wide open. Okay, guy falls down. Hey, good job, Riley Leonard. 12 yards past the line of scrimmage. Put it right on him.
Yeah.
Good throw.
Okay.
But I'm not over.
I guess I wouldn't consider that a deep ball, bro. Like
It's not a
I
deep
just think
ball.
it's not a deep ball. It's at best, if you want to be generous.
He's an elite route runner. Dude, you're okay. Oh my God, Charisse, are you trolling? Exactly. Mike Smith just came in for the most. Points with comments. Okay, I'm out. There you go. It's remarkable that we can't be honest about our football teams. Jaden Greathouse, nobody is going to mistake him for a great route runner. Nobody. The stadium guy, James, for $5. My point was that my health kept me from doing a video. Next weekend, I will do videos of
bro, I know. Your point was that you didn't go to Austin because of your health, but that doesn't change the fact you're talking about having issues in that region of your body on Twitter, bro. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't do that.
Don't talk about your butthole on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean,
dude, you just said don't talk about your butthole on YouTube.
James, I consider us to be like not close personal friends on any level. As a not close personal friend, let me give you some advice. Don't talk about your butthole on YouTube.
Please.
I'm here for you. This is the advice that you need. And I want you to succeed in life.
Hugh Janus.
Don't talk about your butthole on YouTube. Seems like pretty salient advice. Charisse, the Chad Carter. No, I'm not trolling. JC, do the maths. Mathing is hard.
Yeah, I'm sorry. A 12-yard completion's not a deep ball, dude.
No. Kevin Bugaj. I probably got that wrong. KB, sorry. And Notre Dame won by 2 scores.
Well, when Drew Aller puts it on a platter for you.
Yeah. Hey, they won the game. I'm not listen, I'm thrilled we beat Penn State. But I think I'm pretty sure I said 27-24 Penn State. So I got the score right. I just didn't think Drew Aller, I didn't think it was possible to be less of a passer than Riley Leonard. Well, we found out what that looks like. Right? I mean, Drew Aller is not a guy, and notice the comment section is just chock full of everybody but Penn State fans this morning who don't want to talk about Drew Aller.
Yeah, what happened, Penn State fan? Where you at, dude?
You guys in the showers with Sandusky? What happened?
Yeah,
they should not be. James Franklin is a loser. And I almost forgot about this. How many times did I tell you leading up to this game that James Franklin is a loser?
A lot.
A lot. James Franklin's a loser. And I'm here for it. Let's see. Salty. Family show, Monty. Okay.
Bro, hold on. Bro, M-O-N-T-Y. See right here?
Yeah,
M-O-N-T-Y, not I.
Ramen, too many carbs. I've been on keto and lost 25 pounds, which has brought my blood pressure under control. Or did you have blood pressure issues? Yeah, if you're a keto guy, knock yourself out. I think if I can be an example of anything, eat whole foods and cholesterol and body fat and blood pressure won't ever be a problem for you.
Yeah.
Eat whole food.
And exercise. Be active.
And don't smoke weed while you play golf.
Dude, we'll get to that later in the show.
Dude. Riley Leonard run around real good. He does, Jimmy. Yes, he does. Run, Riley, run. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Salty, I was at the so you were at the game, that's why. And I continue, we've talked about this before. You miss so much when you are at the game. Especially in football. When you're at the game, you miss so many things. Kevin, is Drew Aller better than Will Howard?
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Who the f*** is that guy?
What are you doing?
Yeah. Tamara says caffeine intolerance changes as you age. Well, I need less tolerance for caffeine because I need more caffeine. Okay. Simon.
Oh.
Your ignorance amazes me.
Oh, well, please.
Do tell.
Please.
Will Howard wanted to move closer. Stop with this BS. K-State fan, own the fact that you wanted him gone.
Yeah.
You talked about it openly and honestly on the show.
He got run out of the program.
There's no doubt about that. You all wanted Avery Johnson. You all were celebrating when Will Howard transferred. You can't. Throwing K-State under the bus is total BS. Why would I throw K-State under the bus?
We've been Will Howard, guys. We defended Will Howard when you guys were trying to throw him in the trash.
You're crazy.
So don't tell us it's our narrative. No, sir. It's your narrative coming back to make you look silly.
Xavier Wolf, college football is pain. It can be. It can be. 100-yard games are rarities at Notre Dame. Bro, how about 10-yard games? Jaden Greathouse is not a great wide receiver. I hate to break it to you. He's not on the team at Ohio State. He's not on scholarship at Ohio State. I don't know how to break that to you. He's not on scholarship at BYU. Not sure how to. Jaden Greathouse, Notre Dame does not have great quarterbacks in recent years, which is why you don't have a great selection of wide receivers. What does Notre Dame put in the NFL draft? It's not wide receivers. It's not wide receivers. Rip the Longhorns. Yeah, tough way to end it. A couple more, then we do have to get to Marcus Freeman to the Bears. Phil Venzer, we are building a very good football program at UNLV. Somehow we have a ton of NIL.
Yeah, I would agree. You guys are moving in the right direction. We got to, again, it's just the same thing I say about Oklahoma State or any other team who's had changes at coordinators and head coaching slots. You got to see what you do after you make those hires. Because that's what matters. It's cool you brought the guy in, but what is the guy doing for you?
And again, it's what I've said about Will Howard. Will Howard, you wind up, and this is why the transfer portal matters. Ohio State does not end up where they are without Will Howard.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, take that as you will. Kevin says Howard is average, surrounded by elite talent. Call it what you want. I don't care how you want to describe.
Dude, if average is getting to a national championship game, I'm good.
If average is throwing for 289 yards, a touchdown, and a pick, and averaging 9 yards of completion against Texas's secondary,
without throwing to Jeremiah Love or Jeremiah Smith,
I want average on my football team.
Yeah,
I want average on my football team. Ask K-State what average looks like.
Yeah,
because there's no doubt Will Howard's a better quarterback than Avery Johnson.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And if Will Howard is average, what is Riley Leonard? Because there's no comparison.
I mean, let's be really honest about what's happened to Will Howard here. All Will Howard's done, like take the uniforms out of it for a second. Take the K-State, Ohio State portion out of it. Will Howard left an offensive scheme that asked him to throw into incredibly tight windows, 6 yards down the field most of the game. And everybody was like, oh, well, he turns it over. He throws interceptions, even though his wide receiver wasn't in the right spot. He throws all these interceptions. He's terrible. Then what happens? He goes and runs Chip Kelly's offense, and all of a sudden, we're bombing it down the field. He's putting the ball right where it needs to be. They're being aggressive. Like, I can't stress this enough, man. Like, it's all about the position you put your guys in. And I have to say, Riley Leonard doesn't help himself. He doesn't exactly inspire confidence no matter what position he's in when it comes to passing, but they don't exactly put him in really strong positions with the scheme. So when you talk about Will Howard being average, I don't think Will Howard's average. No. I think Will Howard's everything you want him to be and has shown that.
Because as much as Ohio State's been through, well, I would remind you what Notre Dame has gone through. The supposed greatest football team anybody's ever seen, Google it, Indiana. And you look at Georgia's defense, granted they had injuries, don't really care. Georgia has a really good defense, right? And then you look at Penn State. Now, Penn State's defense, I think their front seven's really good. But you look at the defenses that Notre Dame has to go through. Let's say they beat Ohio State. That's the best defense in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So If Riley Leonard beats that Ohio State defense, because he will have to be the singular reason they win that game. If Notre Dame is to win that game, we will have done that by Riley Leonard throwing. I mean, the mea culpa a week from tomorrow morning will be unbelievable on this show. We've just never seen Riley Leonard do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know why we would expect him to do that, because guys just don't change their stripes.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, right? Adrian Ferris, Monty's hate of Freeman is pretty clear. Okay. Have I been wrong about Marcus Freeman? I don't think I have been.
Yeah, I don't think you've hated on him. I think you've just told the truth, which is the guy has made a lot of mistakes. You've also said that he's grown a lot from those mistakes, and there's more growth to come. Obviously, we talked earlier in the show, go back and listen today, about how unprepared Notre Dame looked in the Penn State game in the first half. You just simply were not organized on defense. You looked unprepared. You were running around the field as the ball was being snapped. Like, that's not hating on a guy. That is evaluating what they put on tape. Like, you put on tape that you were unprepared, not ready in the first half to play against Penn State's offense. That's not us hating or him hating. That's what happened. So you're going to have to, in detail, kind of describe like what you mean by Monty's hate of Freeman is pretty clear. Marcus Freeman's not an elite head coach, and nobody's going to tell you otherwise. Like, not us, not anybody. Marcus Freeman, what Marcus Freeman is, the truth is he's a really nice story, right? And everyone made a big deal about this. ESPN in the post game on the field asked him about, how special it was or how special he felt it was to be the first black head coach to get to a national championship game. And he did a great job handling that question. But I do think he is a great story, man. A younger guy, black head coach, hell of a personality. I understand why Notre Dame hired him. I get it. But he's not elite at what he does yet. But I do think he's going to be, probably 2 years from now, he will be one of the best coaches in college football. But there's got to be a lot of development that happens.
Yeah, and I think he has to get uncomfortable. I think that Marcus Freeman has to get uncomfortable. Defensive head coaches don't like throwing the ball down the field. And you're going to have to recruit a quarterback that can get the ball over the top. And that means you're going to have wide receivers who can get the ball over the top. Our best wide receiver is Mitchell Evans. He's your tight end. And right now, I think that he is the best weapon for this offense because that's who your quarterback is comfortable throwing to. Riley Leonard thrives in that tight end route area of the field.
Yeah.
Loves the out pass and loves it underneath. The check down underneath route. It's just what that offense is. If you are going to win a national championship, and again, I just look at Quinn Ewers. I mean, any of these teams, win or lose, everybody throws the ball underneath. Yeah. Everybody does it.
Part of football.
But what do the elite teams do? They have the ability to go down the field. They have the ability on second down because they're productive on first down. They have the ability to take that shot on second down because they'll be in 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, not 3rd and 10, not 3rd and 8. You got to be ahead of the sticks. You have to have versatility. Notre Dame has no versatility on second down.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the exact stat. We were listening to the broadcast or watching the game, obviously, and the broadcast was talking about how Notre Dame has, sort of made it a habit of sorts to be behind the sticks. I think they said it's like 60% of their snaps. So there was some percentage they rolled out that said, hey, like a majority of their snaps are, behind the sticks. They're like 3rd and 5 when it should be 3rd and 1, or, 2nd and 8 when it should be 2nd and 5. Like that's the type of offense that you get when you're conservative. And I think to your point, this concept of throwing underneath, to me, for the elite teams, like when you watch Ohio State or, watch Texas or hell, even the Oregon game at the Big House against Michigan, I thought Oregon did a phenomenal job of this, where you've got the threat down the field, right? Dylan Gabriel is looking down the field. Quinn Ewers is looking down the field, right? Will Howard's looking down the field for Jeremiah Smith. But when it's not there, The underneath guy has to be there because the defense has taken that away. So what are you really doing? And Notre Dame misses this. They don't have this dynamic. What you're really doing is you're saying to the defense, okay, are you gonna give up? Are you gonna take away the 25 to 40 yard bomb and give us 8 yards down the field, or are you gonna allow us to take shots? And inevitably, what happens? The defense at some point will give you the opportunity to take the shot if you're patient. And Notre Dame does not get those opportunities because Riley Leonard is not a pocket passing, quarterback that's any type of threat down the field.
Furthermore, they don't have time because the defense is very close.
Yeah.
But anyway. A couple more. Stadium guy James. Coach Freeman needs an offensive coordinator like Cliff Kingsbury. Denbrock's done a great job.
What they need is talent. That's what they need.
Bob Stoops succeeded at OU as a defensive coach, but he had no OC who took care of that side of the ball. Bro, again, this is put in upper deck on Rice-Eccles Stadium. Mike Denbrock is a really good offensive coordinator. It works. They work together. Like, what they need is a more dynamic weapon at quarterback. What they need is Notre Dame needs depth of talent at wide receiver. How many great tight ends are we going to put in the NFL? Because we're putting a bunch of them in the NFL.
Yeah.
And Mitchell Evans is going to be an NFL tight end. There's no doubt about it. This club needs to get more dynamic offensively. That's going to be the difference. Let's see. Everybody hurts sometimes. Yes, Sir Bob Love. We do. Sharice, that's why I think Notre Dame will have trouble scoring on Ohio State's defense in the red zone, because Ohio State is one of the best red zone defenses. The reason that it's tough to score in the red zone is because there's not a lot of room. You can't run a comeback route. You can't run the middle of the field. Essentially does not exist in the red zone.
Yeah, I don't think we should be talking about Notre Dame in the red zone against Ohio State. We should be asking if Notre Dame's going to play in Ohio State's territory much in this game.
Tom Dean, if you can't go deep, the D will pound the box.
Dude, you're not wrong, bro.
Yeah.
Is it possible that they could ride the D?
Yeah. Right.
Riley Leonard or Jalen Milroe? Jalen Milroe's got a much better arm.
Yeah.
The problem with Jalen Milroe is, Riley Leonard, I think, understands what the defense is trying to do to him. Riley Leonard just doesn't have the raw gift of throwing the football. Jalen Milroe doesn't understand what the defense is trying to do. He's never going to be a 3-read guy. Right? First, covered, second. No, it's never going to be that guy. Riley Leonard doesn't trust his arm to throw the ball down the field. So you'll notice in Notre Dame's offense, they give him 2 underneath options on every play call in the passing game. He'll always have a guy in the flat, and he'll always have that guy posted up between the hash and the number. So that guy can slide either way. Those are staples for Riley Leonard. And it's because he does not trust his arm to drive the ball down the field.
Yeah.
It's the Jaden Greathouse touchdown. That's not a 54-yard pass. That's a 12-yard completion with a nice run after the catch by Greathouse. So Riley Leonard's comfortable on that. When a guy's open by that much,
yeah, if you're not comfortable throwing to him, then
you just got to put it
quarterback.
on. That's all. You just got to put it on him. That's really all it is. Capazzo, I can't wait for the Ohio State to choke in this game.
Yeah.
Which one shows up? I have a hard time believing that you need games to set up well for you. Notre Dame's offense sets up well for the Ohio State defense. And my biggest concern is Notre Dame getting beat down the field, especially against the boundary. That's a big concern. Now, Will Howard is a guy that you can get to. You can hit Will Howard. And the pass rush at Notre Dame, I think it was very telling that Penn State, they almost stopped running through the A and B gap and started bouncing everything outside. And then what happened when they got in the red zone? They ran through the middle, right? So it'll be interesting to see how Ohio State captures this one. All right, before we get to NFL coaching and Marcus Freeman, the stadium guy, the only chance Notre Dame has is if Leonard gets hurt and the backup comes in and slings the ball around. He looked good at the end of the first half.
I don't disagree with that, bro. I have to say, Angeli looks really, really capable.
Riley Leonard is the leader of this football team. And I understand, hey man, everybody loves the backup. Arch Manning, the Arch Manning era. I totally get it. Riley Leonard's the heartbeat of that football team. If Riley Leonard's out or hurt and let's not root for guys to get hurt. It's just not, I think that's poor form. I think it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how all this plays out. But my biggest concern in this game is Notre Dame's defense is going to have to be, they're going to have to be perfect.
All world, no mistakes, no, another thing in this game that I thought was really interesting was penalties. It was a pretty one-sided game for the officials. A lot of penalties on Notre Dame, not a lot of penalties on Penn State, even though Penn State was holding and doing some things that were pretty clear and everybody kind of agreed with it. But, I think Notre Dame can't have that game where they've got a lot of mistakes defensively. You can't have running into the kicker 2-3 times. You can't have, and granted, that's special teams, not defense. I get it. But those type of mistakes you just can't have them here.
Well, and the other thing that you can't have is Watson Schuler down at the line of scrimmage. I am a big believer in this Notre Dame defense, but they're a better defense when you're playing Army and Navy and you're one-dimensional. Or,
of course,
the hardest part about Ohio State is they're unlike anything that Notre Dame has seen. They're balanced. They can beat you running the ball and they can beat you passing the ball. And Watson Schuler, I think Schuler is one of the best safeties in the country. I think Watts is an emotional player that when he's in the right place, generally he makes every play that's in front of him. But Watson Schuler need to be able to protect their corners, because I think we saw on a pretty regular basis that if you can get the ball down the field, if you can get the ball beyond that 15-yard, that magical 15-yard number against the boundary, Notre Dame is susceptible there.
Yeah.
If you throw the ball, and a lot of that is because Watson Schuler find themselves down closer to the line of scrimmage. And when you have the two dynamic backs that Ohio State has, and that's always going to bring the safeties down, that's when you start getting worried, because there's not a corner in this country. Notre Dame's got good, not elite. They've got good corners. Nobody in this country can cover Ohio State's wide receivers in man when the safeties are down. It's really, you're asking an awful lot. And Notre Dame, the strength of Notre Dame's defense, there is no doubt about it, is tackling inside of 7 yards. They don't miss tackles generally. And I think that Quinshon Judkins is an incredibly difficult guy to tackle.
Yeah.
And and that leak out pass to Travion, Notre Dame has seen that repeatedly. So I would assume that they can take that away. But the question is, how much play action do we see? How effective is the Ohio State running game? Because Chip Kelly is pretty consistent. He'll keep running the football because he knows, hey, eventually that's going to come back, whether that's in a play action situation or we break that big run. You know that's going to come back to bear fruit.
It always does.
It always comes back to bear fruit.
Yep.
So I'll be really interested to see how that plays out. So and you know what, Brando, excuse me. The NFL draft is going to be full of average quarterbacks.
Yep.
There is no question about that. And it is going to be very interesting to see exactly how that all plays out. But I think I like 27-10 Ohio State.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. And I do think it could stretch to 35 points if Notre Dame turns it over.
It is, and again, It's just the fact that Chip Kelly's play calling. And I never thought I would say this about Chip Kelly. I think his play calling's gotten better as the playoffs gone on. And stylistically, they have played different games, but they continue to get the same result.
Yeah.
Big plays in different ways. Travion Henderson, one with a run, one with a pass, or Will Howard. Like you're putting in the right space and time. And Chip Kelly's a great offensive mind, but his commitment to the run, and when you have Judkins and Henderson, well, how could you not be committed to the run?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know. I mean, Judkins embracing the physicality the way he does. Why would you not?
Why would you not?
Yeah.
I would agree with that. And it's very interesting. See how it plays out. I got 27-10 Ohio State. Is Marcus Freeman an NFL caliber head coach? And should the Bears be talking to him? We'll tell you that next after this from the Advocates.
When you've been injured in an accident, you need a lawyer, and you deserve an advocate. Insurance companies don't always play fair, but we can keep them in check. Most cases settle out of court, but we'll take your case to trial if necessary. You deserve an advocate.
24/7, 365. You can get clear, risk-free advice live online. You can chat with an injury attorney. It won't cost you a dime at theadvocates.com. Marcus Freeman. Allegedly. Marcus Freeman. The Chicago Bears want to interview Marcus Freeman. And again, I'll maintain, I think Ben Johnson's the guy. I think there is no doubt that Ben Johnson is your number one candidate. The Bears know very clearly they have one job in hiring this coach: develop Caleb Williams. Period. Why do you think they're waiting to interview Cliff Kingsbury this week? Because they know the next coach they hire has to develop Caleb Williams. Will they hire Marcus Freeman? They won't. Should they interview him? They should. Notre Dame's head football coach and the Chicago Bears have always flirted with each other. It's a way of doing business. Make no mistake about it. Marcus Freeman has developed and grown as a head coach. He is not ready to lead a failing franchise where their number one priority is developing the quarterback. He's not the right fit there. And Jake, I don't think they're serious about hiring him. I think they're serious about interviewing him.
Absolutely. I think, NFL teams, and it's well documented, NFL teams do this every year where, they interview everybody under the sun. Marcus Freeman, has a nice connection. It's Notre Dame, kind of that built-in reason to interview him. So I'm not really surprised by this. But no, I don't think Marcus Freeman is ready for the NFL. I let's make this really clear. Like, Marcus Freeman is still working on honing his craft at the college level. And I think that people don't necessarily put enough emphasis on how different coaching at the college level is versus coaching in the NFL. I mean, look at Jim Harbaugh in the season that they had. In Chargerland, Jim Harbaugh comes in and everyone's like, oh man, great head coach. All his players love him. Everything's amazing. And ultimately you flame out against the Texans over the weekend. Like, not a great way to end your season. And I think part of that is that coaching in the NFL requires you to put your pride aside as a head coach and say, hey, you know what? I'm Jim Harbaugh. I'm supposed to be this developer of quarterbacks and, this great leader of men, but I gotta put that to the side and find a better way to lead this team. And I think Marcus Freeman just isn't quite there yet. He's still just trying to figure out the right way to lead his college team. He's still trying to figure out, how can I recruit better? How can I create more connections? So I'm not surprised they're interviewing Marcus, but I don't think Marcus is anywhere close to being a serious candidate to take this job. This is very much
and certainly not when you're asking to interview Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
Not when you're waiting for Cliff Kingsbury. Not when your lead candidate is Ben Johnson. And I think you look at Jaden Daniels last night and the performance that Washington offense put up, you know why they want to talk to Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, and I think a lot of people don't look at numbers. And I would tell you, I'm a big believer that it's awfully difficult to get away from statistics with your quarterbacks. And if we look at the numbers of Jaden Daniels, the best quarterback, the rookie of the year, everybody loves him. 3,568 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, a QBR of 70.5.
Great year, led the offense. Everybody thinks he's a great quarterback.
I mean, crown the guy. Future of the league. 3,568 yards. Does anybody know what Caleb Williams had? 3,541 yards. Terrible year. Guy's a bust. Terrible quarterback. 25 touchdowns for Jaden Daniels. Rookie of the year. Greatest quarterback. Franchise. Caleb Williams had 20 touchdowns? What a bust. Let's see. Jaden Daniels had 9 interceptions. Greatest quarterback I've ever seen. Rookie of the year. 9 interceptions. Wow. Caleb Williams had 6 interceptions. So let me get this right. He had fewer interceptions. Pretty much same amount of yards and touchdowns. And Caleb Williams is a bust, and Jaden Daniels is a rookie of the year, and he's unbelievable. And we're talking about a team in Washington that has a superior offensive line and a superior run game. Yet Jaden Daniels is a rookie of the year and Caleb Williams is a bust. Mm-hmm. And their numbers are almost identical. That's the problem that we have in this world, is that we want to create narratives.
Perception is reality.
So when we talk about, is Marcus Freeman the head coach of the Chicago Bears a year from now? He's not. He's not. Was Mike Vrabel a serious candidate? He wasn't. He was always going to New England. Always going to New England. Is Ben Johnson a serious candidate in Las Vegas? Yes. I was in Las Vegas this week. That town's abuzz with Ben Johnson. Right? So will the Bears make Ben Johnson an offer? I think there's a chance of that. I think they want to hire Cliff Kingsbury. He's got experience with multiple quarterbacks, developing those quarterbacks. Kyler Murray is damn near an all-pro.
Yeah.
And Jaden Daniels is the greatest quarterback anybody's ever seen.
Yeah, I think the difference between Ben Johnson right now and Cliff Kingsbury is that Cliff Kingsbury has direct, like-for-like, apples-to-apples experience with what you need him to do. And Ben Johnson is somebody who, is leading one of the best offenses in all of football, clearly going to go on a deep playoff run, and obviously would be a good fit for the job. So, again, this is where I say, how true are the, all the things we talked about with Ben Johnson last week? Is it actually true that he is weird about the interview thing? Is that just rumor mill? Is like, you know what I mean? Like, because we've heard, whether it's guys in the draft or coaches, there's always something. And I'm sure that there is a little bit of credence to how Ben Johnson has gone about this whole interview process and not taking a job last year. Is he actually interested? Like that whole thing. I'm just curious how the Bears see that. Does Kevin Warren sit there and say to himself, man, this Ben Johnson guy's a little weird? Or does he say, that's just the media creating something. Ben Johnson's a good dude.
Yeah.
That to me is the real question. Does the brass in the front office look at Ben Johnson or look at Cliff Kingsbury and say, that's our guy?
Who would you hire?
I would hire Cliff Kingsbury. I think he's got direct, like for like, experience doing what you need him to do.
Mike McCarthy or Cliff Kingsbury?
Still like Cliff more, but I don't think Mike would be a bad hire.
Mike McCarthy or Ben Johnson?
Nah, that's tough. I don't know. I would have to look at, because Mike has Dak, obviously. Mike's developed Dak. Dak's turned into one of the best pocket passing quarterbacks in the league.
Terrible offensive line, terrible general manager, no running backs.
Bad ownership, obviously, like you just said. So, I mean, there's comparables there. Now, the hard part is, if we're being honest, nobody in the front office at Chicago is going to say, yeah, we have terrible ownership. And, nobody's saying that, So, like, that's the hard part.
But The Chicago Bears make a big change in coaching search. You want to know what I deal with as a Bears fan? Do you know when they hire Ebersucks as a coach?
The Flucinator.
They flew him coach. So wait, let me get this right. They flew him. They didn't fly him business. They didn't fly him first class. They flew his ass out on coach.
Bro.
The Bear. Wait. So you brought this guy out to interview him to be your head coach, and you flew him coach. You flew your coach.
Nice.
Meanwhile, everybody else flies their coaching candidates for interviews on a private jet. So,
nice job, guys.
Congratulations to the Chicago Bears, who now, according to sources, will be flying their finalists for their coaching position on a private jet.
Man, wow, just incredible. A day to remember in Bears history, dude.
You flew Ebersucks out on coach.
Do you think the average person in an airport would know Ebersucks if they saw him?
No. The Bears don't know Ebersucks. You really think if Matt Eberflus, the former now fired POS coach of the Chicago Bears, probably too much. You really think if Eberflus walked through an airport, what's a pedestrian's?
O'Hare?
Yeah, of course. Charlotte. You think if Matt Eberflus was walking through the airport in Minneapolis, Miami, Florida, Turks and Caicos, nobody'd know who he is.
Dude's getting on the plane, walking down the aisle back to 68F to find his seat. And, he doesn't have overhead bin storage, so he's got to fight with the guy who has no idea who he is to get his bag up there.
Mayor McCluskey. Let me guess, did the Bears also rent him a Geo Prism to run around in? First brand new car I ever bought. First brand new car I ever bought.
A Geo Prism.
The Geo Storm.
Bro.
And it was a stick, and I thought I was a god. A Geo Prism. That's amazing. Capazzo, just trying to save that money for an O-line. Exactly right. Exactly right. I gotta
build a new stadium on some horse manure,
I think it is amazing. That a football team would fly a coaching candidate commercial. Let alone a coach class. I wonder if the McCaskies are like, well, he's a coach, and it's where coaches fly is in coach. What's the problem?
Crazy.
I would hire Mike McCarthy. I don't think he's leaving Dallas. I think that would have happened already. His contract expires tomorrow, according to Adam Schefter, ESPN. The Dallas Cowboys declined to allow McCarthy to interview with the Bears. So my guess is their intention is to keep him.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think if he does not come to a contract extension today, the Bears will interview him. And I think Mike McCarthy would be smart to interview with the Bears if he doesn't.
Yeah.
And the way that Jerry has failed in contract negotiations, see Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, I would leverage him for every penny I could. But when it comes to the Chicago Bears, it's Cliff Kingsbury or Ben Johnson. And both those guys are involved in game planning. You can only interview Cliff Kingsbury this Wednesday because he is in the middle of game prep. So Wednesday is the only day you're allowed to interview him. I love Ben Johnson. I love the Detroit Lions. You can't have Dan Campbell expose Ben Johnson to his culture. See what I had.
Bro,
that came out the wrong way.
Macaque.
Yeah. Who are you? James Franklin. You can't be around Dan Campbell and the culture that Dan Campbell creates and not be a better human and football coach for it. Right? It's awfully difficult.
Right.
But I think you look at what Dan Quinn's doing in Washington, you're 6-1. All I care about is who's going to make Caleb Williams a better quarterback. And I don't think you can go wrong with Ben Johnson or Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff's got more experience. That's why I would hire him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
I agree.
All right. Real quick in the comments section, Jay McClanahan. It's the Bears. I'm surprised they didn't put him on a Greyhound. Well, No. He was probably the only one to show up for an interview.
Well,
hey, man. The Bears have interviewed everybody.
We show up
for this gig. Delaric, hello. They were hoping he would say, I'm not flying coach, so he wouldn't show up, so they wouldn't have to hire him. It's brutal that the Bears were flying coaching candidates in coach class.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that to people.
Monty had a vet back in the day, a Chevette. No, the cars I owned I can't even remember the name of the Plymouth I owned. I owned a Chrysler LeBaron convertible. I owned the Geostorm. I had an old Honda Celica. I mean,
Yeah.
What is the first really good car I bought? Probably my Ford Explorer. I've had,
You like the Volvo a lot.
Oh, the Volvo. I like the Volvo a lot. A lot. I like the Volvo. A lot. The Volvo was a good car.
Yeah.
Good car. Tom Dean, Kingsbury's a quarterback whisperer. Yes. Midweek Kook. Hello. He had the Saver Fair convinced the Bears to upgrade to coach for a window seat.
Okay.
Because the Bears are on this thing where they're like, we're first class everything. We're at top of the line. No expense spared to win
Except
games.
when it comes to Delta.
And exactly right. I'm hoping that, because this is this George McCaskey, hey, look at what the Ricketts did. Let me try it that way, where we tell people we're going to spend money and then we don't. And it's not funny.
That'd be America's team.
Stop it. Like, as a Chicago fan, I've seen this movie.
What, Kyle Tucker's not good enough for you as a Cubs fan? Come on.
I've seen this movie before. I've seen it with, sadly, the Chicago Bulls. How's that Lonzo Ball knee surgery working out? I've seen it with Zach LaVine. Don't call me Levine.
Speaking of knee surgery.
I've seen this repeatedly in Chicago. Oh, we're going all in.
Who are you, Jerry Jones? We're all in. We're all in, Morty.
Penny wise, pound foolish. That's what Chicago sports teams are. Kim Coulter, shake my head. Kingsbury remains the only Red Raider I know of that continues to fail upward. Nothing that he did in Arizona was failing.
Yeah.
Nothing he's done in Washington. Nothing he did with the Rams. Nothing he did at USC. Those offenses were all better for him. So I don't know that he's failing upward. I would disagree with that. Brandon Butler, I'm surprised Pace didn't ask if the L ran to Indianapolis when they hired Flus. The elevated train, thank you. The eye patch, big win for the Commanders last night. Still awkward, isn't it? Ben Johnson not going to take the Bears job. Why would he not take the Bears job? He said before he even interviewed. Before he even interviewed, he said the two top jobs that he wanted were the Patriots and the Bears. The Patriots was always going to Vrabel. Always.
Who, by the way, I'm just so excited we get more Mike Vrabel press conference bits. I am just so thrilled.
Yeah, there is that. I think this is amazing. Mike Vrabel. Do you guys remember Mike or red ass Mike Vrabel? And we've had some red asses on this show. But Mike Vrabel going after a media member and talking about losing will forever be legendary.
Because it sucks to lose, Gentry. Trey ever need to show you anything?
Did you have another thought, or no? I'm just curious.
Well,
It sucks. Losing. Awful. That's why I want to win. Because you don't sleep. You want to win for the players that bust their tail. That's it.
Dude.
It sucks.
Gentry.
Look, Gentry, you POS.
Yeah.
What are you doing in my sphere?
Yeah.
You have to admit that Mike Vrabel's an elite guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that.
Perfect for that job.
Because I hate losing. I absolutely I am, and still I go to Oak State because Oak State James on this show. Oak State James is still the guy defending Riley Leonard.
I'm a man.
Right? It's that mentality where I can't live in that space. If you're Notre Dame, Riley Leonard shouldn't be your starting quarterback. If you're the Chicago Bears, Matt Eberflus should have never been hired. Never should have been hired. You know, it is what it is. Ferris Khan. I had an 87 Pontiac Firebird, 5.7 liter. Yes. No screaming chicken on the hood, though. Dude, love that car. Volvo S80, great car. Volvos are amazing.
Yeah.
Fat Jesus. Cut him some slack. They gave him a drink coupon for the flight, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you know.
Mr. Preston, facial recognition.
Facial recognition.
Good to see you, Preston. Charisse. Will Ryan Day be searching for an NFL coaching job after the season? No.
Hell no.
Illumindursky, off topic. I would like to see a tour of your studio to see your setup. Okay. Someday.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can keep dreaming about that, but, you know.
UW fan James, Jimmy, the Jimster. I'm 6'3" and 300 pounds, and I love my Geo Metro back in the day. It did have a clown car feel, but 50 miles to the gallon in the 90s was awesome. I remember that.
Yeah, you know, when all of you Gen Xers were getting your free pass on everything being like 1 penny.
Here we go.
You know, that.
Here we go. Stop.
50 miles to the gallon and gas was like 82 cents a gallon.
Brandon Butler, I'm surprised we're not discussing prime to the Raiders. Because that
ain't happening.
I don't think it's true.
Yeah.
I don't think the Raiders would hire Deion Sanders, and I don't think Deion would.
They came out allegedly and said they had no interest in him. That's what's being reported.
Why would Deion Sanders go to the Raiders?
Yeah.
That's wild to me. Red Wine 65, good to see you. Detroit is good, so it's possible for the Bears. Detroit is very good. It's hard to root against the Lions right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see Ben Johnson leaving the Lions for the Bears job. I just don't see that. It makes way more sense that Cliffy or Mike would leave their jobs to go to the Bears.
Yep. Tanner Plummer says, hello, fellow humans. Okay. Old Tatanka. First car, 64 Dodge station wagon.
Oh.
My man. Yes, I'm older than that car. In the comments section, list your first car. First car you ever owned, Jake, was?
My Abarth. My Fiat Abarth.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Jay McClanahan at 23. I had a Nissan Sentra. I had to crawl into the passenger side to drive. No worries of someone stealing it. Exactly right. I do like Volvos. Damn it, Volvos. I drove a 79 Volvo station wagon. That thing was a tank. I had a friend, John Moon.
Nice name. Who are you, Jackie Moon?
We all worked in restaurants together, and so we would occasionally sip the devil's potion together. And I just remember he was hammered. It was 3 a.m. I want to say we were on a golf course. Oh my God. I'm going to hell. We were on a golf course in Libertyville, Illinois.
Libertyville. Gosh.
And he was I was always the designated driver. I didn't drink much when I was younger. I got into his Volvo station wagon to drive us all home. And that thing, driving stick in that car was like reading Chinese. He was oh man, I'll never forget that.
Morning, it's an 18 speed, you know?
Loved it. Tom Dean, I used to drive an AMC Gremlin. Oh, the AMC cars. You guys remember that? What? And you couldn't get a date, couldn't pull. Some things never change. 78 Ford Bronco. There you go. Sir Bob loves Hot Wheels were my first cars.
There you go.
Volvo wagon bugs. Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Preston, Chevy Nova, first car. It was badass. Novas were amazing. Nightmare says 96 Toyota Camry. Okay. Tanner Plummer, Pete Carroll to the Bears. I don't. What kind of car is that? Is that stick or automatic? 83 Z28 Camaro T-tops. Oh man, the Z28. How about the new ZR1?
Yeah, it's looking nice.
I saw a full review of it online, a video review. That car, an 81 Volkswagen Rabbit convertible. Yes. Jolly Gabriel, my brother just got a 99 Pontiac Firebird. Let's go. El Camino, Snurdly says. Center console was a case of oil. That's right. That's exactly
this
right.
Case.
Use a few quarts and you had a place to store your 8 tracks. Exactly right. Capazzo, 79 Chevy LUV 4x4. We got 5 of us in the cab once. Shifting was really interesting. There you go. 69 Firebird for Kim Coulter. The eye patch, 81 Jeep CJ5. Let's go. UW fan Jim, 68 Ford truck, 2 tank, 10 miles to the gallon.
Hey.
Exactly. I love it. Fat Jesus, 74 AMC Javelin. I learned how important it is to fix an oil leak when the engine seized up. Oh, bummer. Love it. My first car, 85 Cutlass. Stop. First car I bought, 75 El Camino. Oh, remember the Cutlass? Oh, man. Dude. Oldsmobile was such a brand when we were all younger. Jake doesn't even know what Oldsmobile is, but that's fine. That's fine. You know. Real quick. Should we be able to shoot people on site? If you're in Los Angeles and you're dressing, did you guys see this story? If you're in Los Angeles and you're dressing as a fireman so that you can drive up into neighborhoods on your scooter, I kid you not, he was on a scooter. And you can drive up into neighborhoods on your scooter and steal from people whose home burned down. And you know what they're stealing? They're trying to steal safes. Well, Monty, they can't open the safe. You know why they want to go up and loot safes from these houses? Because they stand out like a sore thumb. So let me get this right. Your entire house burns down. You add a floor safe. What do you think is going to be sitting on top of everything? The floor safe. And you know the worst part about it? The safe is compromised because of the heat. So apparently these safes are not difficult to break into. And you're going into these houses. One of the things people are stealing is things like china, silverware, flatware, like jewelry. They're digging through these homes looking for jewelry. Like, how much of a POS are you? And the videos coming out of these vigilante neighborhood groups getting together. And if you go and look on TikTok, which is going to be shut down this week, allegedly, you go look on social.
Allegedly.
And you'll see the videos of this group led by a brain surgeon, quite literally, putting out fires and stopping looters. And they set up a roadblock. And these looters are just coming up like it's a parade of vans, pickup trucks, cars. And they're asking, hey, what are you doing here? Do you have business here? Oh, we just wanted to see what was going on. We saw a bunch of fire trucks. Really? You don't know you're in a neighborhood of multimillionaires and you know it's on fire and you're here to see what's going on in your empty panel van. Like, you're just the dregs of society.
Of the worst, bro.
And then there are these maniacs, these lunatics, getting caught with blowtorches. They arrested a guy yesterday above Pasadena in La Cañada, I think it was. They caught him setting another fire. And they've got 20-something of these arsonists in custody who are getting caught trying to set more fires. That has to be mental deficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're in Los Angeles right now, and trust me, having lived in Burbank and having lived in the Valley and living right around where all those fires are, to be setting more fire, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, you're a terrible person. Like it's the worst of the worst.
It is terrible.
I mean, events like this, disasters like this, show us the worst of the worst. It happens every single time. It's stores getting raided during the pandemic. I mean, we have countless examples, but this is just. I understand that people resent rich people in our country. I get it, right? Like you're pissed that the rich people, like there's a story out right now about how the millionaires up in the hills there are paying $2,000 an hour for firefighting services at their property.
Private firefighters.
Yes. And people are pissed about that, saying that shouldn't be a thing, that every firefighter available, every human that can fight a fire should be fighting all the fires or whatever. And so people are upset about that.
But it doesn't work that way. Here's the other thing that people don't understand. Do you understand these private firefighters can't go and fight wildfires? They're not certified. So in this country, and this isn't a California thing, in this country, to legally fight a wildfire, you have to be a certified firefighter, like these inmates. Do you guys see all these inmates they have out fighting these fires? And people are like, oh, they're going to die. They're certified firemen. In prison, they're certifying these guys to be firefighters. These private fire companies that they're hiring, their only job is to make sure these homes don't burn down. So you go across the Pacific Palisades, and it's like, I think the one company was making like $12,000 a day.
Yeah, the figure I saw was $2,000 an hour.
And you have four human beings basically rigging up a sprinkler system. How they're doing it is they're rigging up sprinkler systems on the houses, and then they're standing on the roofs dousing the property. And when they run out of water, because the water pressure has been a problem because of the way the water system works in the mountains, these private fire companies have water trucks that they own on standby that bring them more water. And people are pissed about it. And again, if I were a multimillionaire that owned a home in the Palisades and I could afford that, I would do it. Why are we shaming them for that?
Yeah, I mean, if you have the resources and you can protect your home, why wouldn't you? And I think it's really funny to me. There was this story earlier in the week about, a homeowner there somewhere. It might not have been in the Palisades themselves, but somewhere in that area where the fires had happened, where, everybody around him, all their houses had burned down, but his did not burn down. And the news, I think it might have been Fox, can't remember. The news was interviewing him, asking him, hey, how did you do this? How did you keep your house up when all your neighbors' houses burned down? This dude had been a retired firefighter, and he did something similar to that, where he said he bought like 5 sprinklers, put them on his roof, and then, had those on. And basically he had essentially an evacuation plan. Get the sprinklers turned on the roof and just run those. And then he had a bunch of fire retardant that he had put on like his lawn and all the like.
What did he do? What did he say? I followed the recommendation of the professionals. I cleared 100-yard barrier around my house, 100-foot barrier, around my house. So he had no combustibles within 100 feet of his house. He used paint. The paint that they painted his house with included fire retardant. The fire retardant that they use, that pink stuff, they color that pink. It's actually a fertilizer product. So he laid fire retardant around his property, and he rigged up the sprinkler system on his house. which quite literally is hoses and the sprinklers we all see. And on the ground, he had 2 sprinkler rigs that just spray in a circle, and his house didn't burn down. And the other house that everybody pointed to, an engineer that survived on that peak that everybody's so famously seeing now. And how did he build his house? Non-combustible products. So what did they do? Metal roofs. They used the cement blocks.
Yeah, cinder blocks.
Cinder blocks, thank you. The walls are made of cinder blocks. Like, he used advanced building techniques and products. But it's all of these people that don't do what you need to do to save your house. Anyway, here nor there.
Yeah.
And if that's fine. If you can afford private firefighters, we shouldn't be shaming you for that.
But I also think the other problem in California is, like, how many of these houses that have burned down have been there for generations. And so, the unfortunate portion is that not everybody has obviously the funds and the means, but the know-how or the opportunity to new build their home out of non-combustibles, or have the knowledge to protect their current home. And that's what I think is so sad about the California situation, is that these homes and these communities have been there forever, man. And it's confirmed now, right, that arson started these fires, I believe, right?
Yes.
So you're talking about one human, or how many of them there were, ruining thousands upon thousands of people's lives.
But I hate the people attacking Joe Rogan right now. There was this conspiracy that this arsonist that started the Altadena fire, I think it was, heard Joe Rogan's show. And Joe Rogan now is infamous for doing a show where he talked about how California is ripe for one fire that starts in the mountains to burn from the mountains straight down to the ocean.
Yeah, Joe Rogan had a guest on. I don't remember the guest, but it was Joe Rogan and his guests were talking about, like, LA is very vulnerable right now.
The hotshot firefighters had told Joe Rogan that one spark could burn the entire town down.
Yeah.
And it's essentially what happened.
Yeah.
But here and there, stop being pissed at rich people for being rich.
Yeah.
And stop celebrating that these famous people lost their houses. It's disgusting to me that we're celebrating that rich people are losing their homes. And everybody's like, oh, well, they can just afford to rebuild. No, they can't. Do you understand that these are people who are all of these people are going to get screwed by their insurance companies? Like, you get that, right? All of these insurance companies, it's the hurricanes in North Carolina and Florida. Where, well, it actually, it wasn't a hurricane that did your house. It was flooding. So it's not hurricane. Sorry, you don't have flood insurance. Sorry about that. You're out of luck. Right? And it's all of these idiots that are like, oh, it's rich people. These rich people that own these houses for generations. Do you understand when they bought their house, it was worth $1 million? They paid $1 million for it. It's worth $30 million now. So what is it going to cost to rebuild that house? Think it's going to cost $1 million? You think the insurance, even if the insurance company pays out that house today is worth $30 million, they're going to say, well, Anthony Hopkins had one of the best art collections in the world in that house. It's gone. Do you think they're going to pay him for that art? How many people in LA right now are looking for receipts or proof of purchase on things they bought? Because the insurance company is going to be like, well, what do you mean you had 5 TVs in that house? Because that's what insurance companies do.
Yeah.
They're going to nickel and dime you to pay as little as possible.
Yeah, they look for any way out.
And the sad part is, and I guess it's who we are as people now, if you don't follow the letter of the law, they're not going to help. Insurance companies are not your friend. I talk about this with the advocates all the time. You get in a car accident, they're not trying to help you. The insurance companies are not trying to help you. They're not. And when your house burns down in a wildfire and you're getting, people are pulling out, like insurance companies won't cover you. What about all that money I paid for my wildfire insurance? Because now You understand those rich people on those hills are paying $135,000 a year for wildfire insurance. And do you understand that when the fire started, did you guys see the rentals? Now, Gavin Newsom, who I think has the toughest job in the country, frankly, is empowering his attorney general to enforce the gouging laws against these rental companies because they're seeing routinely between 20 and 150% increases in rents in a matter of hours. Because people's houses burned down. They got a rent. They're going to pay 150% of what we were asking before the fire. It's against the law, by the way, but they still do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at the misinformation. Oh, they ran out of water because of Gavin Newsom and fish. Do you understand that they didn't run out of water in LA? They're not out of water in LA. They're not. Oh, well, he left that reservoir empty. Gavin Newsom had nothing to do with that reservoir. That is an LA City, LA County issue. Gavin Newsom has nothing to do with that. Nothing. They didn't run out of water. They don't have a water shortage. The infrastructure in that particular part of Los Angeles, when you come in and you have hydrants run dry, people are like, oh, Gavin Newsom, what a shitbag. Well, did they actually run dry? Or is there a water pressure there's a water pressure problem because you're putting in 50 times the amount of water. You're taking out 50 times the amount of water. So the hydrants don't have the pressure they need because the water's stored at the top of the hill. And it's the way that system works. It has nothing to do with the Central Valley or water from Northern California.
And yes, they're using the ocean to put out the fires.
And saltwater is not ideal to do that. Saltwater is not ideal. But anyway, my point is, if you're rooting against rich people, there's something wrong with you. They're rooting against rich people because they're rich pretty much tells me you're not rich and you're either jealous or resentful that they are.
Mm-hmm.
Those people are losing a lifetime of possessions they'll never get back.
Yeah.
Whether it's a love note, painting, fine artwork, whatever it might be.
Everything in your house is gone, bro.
Gone.
Everything.
Things you're never even going to remember you had are gone. Prized possessions, photos. Like because we love to do this on the news now. We interview the crying people. Talking about how her entire family photo collection is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Generations of photos. Like, it's terrible.
And I have to say, it's really sad because, California, specifically LA, is a great place, man. Culturally speaking, like, there's just so much there. And when you think about the fact that, whether this happened up in the hills or whether this were to happen in, the beach cities, let's say, either way, people's lives are devastated. And what's really difficult about it is what nobody wants to talk about is how much impact this has outreaching. I mean, sure, the homeowner is obviously impacted, but their family, their business relationships, their whole life is just done. Like and we were talking about this when we were in Vegas. If it was my house that burned down, I don't even know where I would even start. I mean, because the insurance company is not going to cover it. So you're probably going to default on your loan. Then at that point, you're probably moving out of the state of California because it's just so prohibitive to live there.
And look at all the insurance people doing interviews on TV saying the moment that those people go back and retrieve possessions, they invalidate their insurance policies. Let that sink in. So my house just burned down. Like the lady I saw on the news pulling out china. And it was some generational china. And she didn't want that china to get destroyed, like plates, dishes. So apparently there are clauses in insurance contracts that say if your house burns down, the first person to go back into that dwelling after the fire is out has to be an insurance adjuster or your policy's invalid.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're talking about with insurance companies.
Yeah.
Like they're finding ways to say, nah, you're done.
They're finding ways not to spend money.
We're not. Oh, that was a wildfire. That was arson. Or they'll find something.
Yeah.
Well, that damage is from fire retardant, not the fire. Come on. Right. But I also, I don't know. I am not somebody that trusts insurance companies in any way, shape, or form. But let's not go murdering the CEO of the insurance company.
Yeah.
And then celebrate the assassin and make him famous. Let's not do that. Why don't we, and I know this is crazy, why don't we support each other? If you can donate, please donate. Please. The people of Los Angeles, yes, they're Angelinos, but they're Americans. What? Do you think you're immune? I live in Utah. Do you think we're immune from wildfires? We're not.
No.
We're not. It just doesn't happen to be our wildfire season right now.
Yeah, the next time Idaho's on fire won't be the last time.
No matter where you live. I wish we could, let's get back together as a country. Let's support the people of Los Angeles. Let's not do what we're doing. Brandon Butler, they were sending drones over people's roofs to invalidate insurance policies in Park City in California for years now. And did you see these idiots flying drones over the fire and wrecking a water dumping airplane?
Yeah.
Because one of the
put
drones
a hole through the wing.
hit the wing and put a hole through it.
Terrible.
Not even joking here. Call your lawyer. Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
You really should. You really, really should. Red wine. Democrats will probably even add more red tape on construction. There you go. Democrats. I love this. I love this story about how Gavin Newsom mandated that every fire truck coming into the state of California to help fight the fire had to report to Sacramento for emissions testing first. And you realize that story is spread like wildfire? Like everybody believes that all the fire trucks have to go to Sacramento to get emissions tested before they're allowed down to LA. Mandated by Gavin Newsom. You realize that's a complete lie. That made up story. No, none of that is true. None of them have had to do that. Nobody's emissions testing like from Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, like this influx of humanity and fire equipment. Yeah, they're going to send them to Sacramento for emissions testing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the Democrats' fault. That's what I love. It's always the Democrats' fault. Keep dreaming, Monty. Term 2 disaster begins in a week. Whatever. Interesting that some of you don't believe in climate change, but your insurance companies do. People still don't believe in climate change.
They don't. They think it's fake.
Do you guys understand that the reason these fires have happened is Santa Ana winds and zero rain, like almost no rain, historically low levels of rain, and Santa Ana winds that are, do you guys know what Santa Ana winds are? They're winds that come from the mountain to the ocean, and they just push fire everywhere. And like the Altadena fire allegedly being started by an arsonist. Okay, what happens when the arsonist is at the top of the hill, lights a fire, and the wind is going down the hill? Well, the fire's going to go down the hill.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go.
Good
to talk.
Good
to talk. Good to be back. We'll be back tomorrow. The Monty Show, as always, presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com. Take care of your neighbors. Take care of each other. Please do it. Don't root against rich people because their house burned down. You need an injury attorney? Call The Advocates. Theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business, where you never pay a penny to get clear, risk-free advice. From The Advocates at theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.